On the go? Download the free andrewhogue.com iPhone and Android app, so we'll never be apart.
This is andrewhogue.com, still Australia's only 24/7 rock metal radio station, and it's all about keeping it in the family, and this guy is part family as well. I've watched this man grow up from a young, well, actually even younger, age 3. We were babysitting him at one point when he was on tour with his family back in the day, but now he's grown into a fine young man who is still carrying the torch of heavy metal. We're talking about Igor Cavalera, with, of course, the new band Go Ahead and Die. He also plays with Healing Magic and formerly of Lodi Kong. So let's welcome him to the airwaves right now. Welcome, Igor. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Andrew. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk.
Yeah, likewise. And again, like I said, just watching you, you were practically born into metal, and to see what you're up to today is just awesome. But it's also very fascinating because, there's a lot of people as we grow up, families trying to encourage you to do what they want you to do, and others go the opposite way. Most of the time, kids just sort of rebel against what the parents sort of encourage, where it's been completely kept in the family, and it's been such a positive thing to see happen with you, of course, now creating a band with your father, and as everyone knows, a legendary Max Cavalera. So let's quickly talk a bit about the up-and-coming album and the new band Go Ahead and Die. The album's self-titled, out on the 11th of June. So was it? I believe it was initially your idea to sort of create this project and then sort of hit up Max, or Pops, if you want to call him, to say, hey, you want to do some vocals on this?
Yeah, I definitely have wanted to do something in the like fast, extreme, grindy punk kind of, realm of music, so it is something I've always wanted to do. And back in 2018, when we were doing the Point Blank record, we were getting to perform every night. And I think me and him were talking, we were just like, hey, our voices are pretty cool, we sound different, but kind of similar at times and stuff like that. Like, they actually kind of blend together really good. So yeah, that you can say that's when the idea was formed. But my dad, he's a pretty busy guy, as you might know.
Mm-hmm.
He's on the road like 8 or 9 months out of the year, every year of his life. Doing what he loves, but busy as can be. So when the pandemic hit, it actually completely halted shows, touring, things like that. And, it's kind of like a silver lining, but it gave us the opening to finally do this extreme record that we had, kind of passed around as an idea, so that was about a year ago to this date, actually.
Yeah, it goes quickly, but again, it is great to finally get my ears around the record, even though, as I said, it's out on the 11th of June for the rest of the population. What I love about the album, it has such an old school approach. There's such a realness about it. There's no polish in that way, and I think that's what's being lost in a lot of music today, because with the world of technology and home studios, people can mull over one little detail for hours on end trying to get it perfect, because for some crazy world we're in now, our ears are sort of trained to perfection now. So when we hear things that are loose or there's a mistake, we sort of go, whoa, what's going on there? Because we're used to that clinical, cold, digital precision, whereas this is just, I love this album because it's tight without saying it's completely perfect. And that's what I think is missing today, because when you go back to those classic sort of early metal records and whatnot, there was real performances. Now, that's not to say that there isn't today either, but bands are in there just trying to do their best because budgets were high, they couldn't afford studio time, and it was just, your dad's the perfect example of just, of his catalogue of just getting in there and do your best and get it done. And I think that's what captures such essence in a lot of those records in those times. So was that your decision to say, Dad, let's get in there, no click track, let's just play as best we can, no 10 vocal takes or whatever, and to keep that kind of vibe?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I was pushing that agenda really hard. It's funny, he came from the era when you were recording analog and like you were saying, you didn't have a ton of time. You had to get the that performance right there in the moment. And to me, that's what I love about old records, and I love about music in general, is considering that it's people playing it. It's not just music, it's expression and all these different things. And when the mix is too perfect and the song's too perfect and this and that, I mean, you might as well have a computer programming it for you, And so yeah, I was pushing that really hard. No click track. If there's a finger swipe or a pick scrape or a little thing on the guitars, leave it. It's not a big deal,
Yeah.
Like, let's not waste time hitting all these little minute things, because it takes a lot of the essence out of it. And I really wanted it to sound like a couple of guys playing some music. I didn't want it to sound like there's theatrics and stuff. No BS. Just straight to the point stuff. And had we done a click track and had we taken a month to do the record instead of like 11 or 12 days or whatever we did it in, I don't think it would hit the same. And I'm glad that we did these things, because now when you listen to it, it's natural. It flows. It feels like we're playing. There's little inconsistencies. There's personality all over it. You do see it nowadays, but not as much. And I think it's definitely underappreciated.
Yeah, I'm hoping there is a bit of a backswing to this approach. I'm talking to a few producers over time, and they say it's starting to sort of go back that way, where people just want to, as everyone says, keep it real. But I find that term is so overused, because some people say that's their intention, but it never really is, because they are going against what society's used to now, which is perfection in so many ways because of technology. But like I said, it is a refreshing thing to hear something that just has that real organic sort of feel. And again, hats off to you for taking that approach. And also the style of the music is really what that style is all about, just getting in there and sort of jamming and just letting, again, all the emotions kick in as well. And also, what I love about this sort of approach is when you hear it on record and then you go and see it live, which I'm hoping one day will happen in the future, there isn't a letdown, because there's so many bands who sound incredible in the studio, and you hear the album and you go, oh, this song is sick, I can't wait to see it live. And then you see it live and you're like, oh, is that it? There can be a bit of a letdown. It's almost like, that's what I've found over time as well. But just moving into other areas of the band as well, like how much rehearsal were you guys doing? Were you sending, because I know you're based in Florida these days, but were you back home in Arizona with Max and just writing the whole time and jamming the whole time?
Yeah, I did. I do live here in Florida now, but when the pandemic hit, I didn't have work and stuff like that. So, yeah, I called up my folks. I was like, hey, I'm going to put a couple things in the car and drive back out there and stay for a month. That month ended up being like 6 months, and we started a band, wrote an album, and recorded it, and recorded with Healing Magic as well. So it ended up being a whole thing. But yeah, no, we did get together. We did it all. We like every last little thing we did together. I kind of stressed it that if one of us wasn't there, let's not work on it. So if he had stuff going on, we'd just take the day off or whatever. And but yeah, it was really just the importance of it being like a father-son thing. It was about bonding. It was about creating. It was about a lot of different things, and we did it actually at our New River house out in the mountains. I'm not sure if you and your brother have been there before.
Paul was there. Was that the old desert house?
Yeah.
That's still, I know the rehearsal space is there. Paul's been there.
Yeah. No, we did it all there. So I was just staying up there, and he'd come up for a couple of nights. We'd work on like a song or two, and then, he'd go back down, do whatever he needs to do, change his clothes or whatever, and, come back up and stay up there with us again, So it was really cool. It was really organic and natural. We did it at the family property, and, it was cool. I was really happy to be part of it.
What I like too about the record is it isn't a complete overshadow of all Max, even though his name's so prominent in the world metal scene, as you know. It's sort of like I saw the video you guys did talking a bit about that, how he said, he's sort of taken a back seat, and it's pretty much, your band. It's what you're sort of shining through more. than just sort of the new Max Cavalera side project. I know marketers will probably push that angle, but for me, it really doesn't seem like it's so dominated by Max or, the vocals. It's mainly a lot of your vocals I've noticed throughout the album as well, even though, like you said, you have a similar sort of vocal range. So do you sort of agree that it's not entirely dominated by your father in the writing sense?
Yeah, not at all. I should say, that's not to say he didn't write or he didn't come up with stuff. Obviously, he did work on it, but no, he did give a lot of the creative control. You could say executive decisions to me, in terms of style and how we were going to record it and, lyrical themes and stuff like that. So it was cool. I was glad that he did that because, already being in a couple of bands, had he just came up with everything, sounds probably would bleed into each other and sound similar to other stuff he's doing. So I think the approach of, maybe like a 70-30 between me and him, was a good balance, to where enough of the record is still different and, kind of out of left field, but then certain parts totally have his trademark on it. So I think it's cool. It kind of shows our polarity and our different influences and then our similar influences and stuff like that. It kind of showcases it all in one nice package.
Well, you said earlier on before when you were getting together and writing the record and bonding as well. I mean, like I said, you've been born into this whole world of music and creation. And what have you learnt from working with your father writing music? Like, what's the lessons that you've learnt with him?
I had to do a lot of practice at tremolo picking. I've never been in a fast band before. So he definitely, he was influenced in some of that double picking and triplets and stuff like that. It was good for my guitar playing. I'm more of a sludgy, groovy kind of guitar player, but I've always loved fast stuff. So it was cool for him to be like, yeah, man, try doing the riff this way and might make more sense, and, just another thing, I guess you could say, more from a personal view is just to make the music how you want it to be. It should never have too much outside influence other than whoever's creating it, he definitely taught me that, even if he's in the room with his status and everything, or if someone else is in the room, always just say your ideas, speak up, have the record come out the way you want it to be. So I definitely learned that from working with him. It was cool, because he can have a shadow kind of in the room a little bit, where people listen to him or maybe not listen to me and stuff like that, but he was always really cool about being like, no, let's do it Igor's way. Let him have the call, let him do the stuff. And, that just made me happy and taught me to be cool and patient with people and just be respectful with stuff. And the music will come out how you want it to be.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question too, because like you said, he has such a presence, and I don't mean to make Max dominate this conversation, but, the fact that that's your father, so you don't know him any different other than that's your father, whereas others are like, oh my God, that's, and how do you feel when you're in those situations where you're seeing other people just like, whoa, and that's like, it's just dad,
Yeah, no, it can be kind of funny for me sometimes, but more times than not, I'm just like, yeah, that's kind of, some people have that reaction with him. Working with him could be a little tough, sometimes people want his opinion, no matter how many times he'll be like, nah, listen to Igor. They'll still go to him and do it and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that could be a little tough to deal with, but that's where I've just been learning from my mom.
Yep.
And learning how to how to run the business, how to speak, how to deal with people, how to do stuff like that, so I just grew up paying attention to both of them, how my dad does the music and how she does the business. And, when people tried to put him on a pedestal or whatever, I would try to just reinforce myself that much more, speak my point of view that much more if they would try to disregard me or something like that. But to be honest, it wasn't too bad. And I think once we made it clear that I was, I wrote a good majority of the songs, lyrics, everything like that. I was having a lot of the creative ideas. It just got easier to respect and to just let me kind of make calls and do stuff like that.
Well, you certainly got the balance right, understanding the business, which a lot of people avoid. They just want to get out and play, and I understand that's the fun part. The business is the hard part that, a lot of bands tend to try and sort of, it's not an easy world, but, you're definitely in a great position of knowledge there with, of course, your mum and pops. So let's talk a bit more about, your writing, because you've written quite a few books the last couple of years, and how much is writing important to you compared to music?
I'd say they're equal, personally. I love them both. It'd be like picking a favorite kid or something if I had to pick one. And even the storytelling and stuff like that bleeds into the music. It is very important to me. I take it seriously. I mean, at the moment, I'm not published. I'm self-published. I'm still doing it technically as a hobby, but it is a very important thing to me, and I have so much fun coming up with it. To me, it's just great. It's like making little worlds in my head, and then I watch them come to life and stuff like that. And it's really cool. And yeah, like you said, I have 2 out right now. One of them's called Killing My Insomnia. The second one is called Negative Legend. They're each 2 separate stories, both rooted in like occult, supernatural, horror, I guess genre you could call it. I've been working on stuff as well and coming up with new stories, and basically any time that I'm not on the road or in the studio, I'm at home and I'm working on books. So it is definitely a huge part of my life.
If you get ideas related to the book, do you find that can bleed into a song idea as well, or you've found that you can sort of separate the two even though they're equally important? What happens there if you got some really cool character and you think, shit, this will be a good idea for a song, and it's like, nah, leave that in the book. I'll come up with something else. Has that happened a few times?
I have. So sometimes, something will even start one way and turn into another. I've definitely had times where, like, an idea for a short little story, I'll just end up writing a song about it or something. And even with Healing Magic, it was actually a story that I was thinking of at the start, and I decided to just make the whole band tell the story, and put it out through a different medium, so to speak. But it's all art that I'm creating. I'm writing albums the same time as the book, so you might even be able to look at them and find weird comparisons where I might even say similar stuff and subconscious like parallels and stuff like that I probably don't even notice. Because it's all coming from me at the same time and from tons of different areas. So yeah, they definitely bleed. That's for sure.
Now, before we wrap up, let's talk a bit about playing live. I know there was some footage quite a few years ago where you played Troops of Doom with the Cavalera Conspiracy. I think it was in Norway. You must have been about 13 or something like that. And, it's just, it's awesome to watch. And, how do you find now playing live, gigs? You still get those sort of nerves or butterflies? You talk to your dad for confidence moves. What sort of gets you in that zone before you go out and play?
I definitely do get nerves. I think that's something that'll never go away. I think it's just the apprehension and the excitement as well. It's not always bad nerves. Sometimes you're just ready to get out there and just get it. To get in the zone, I just do some breathing exercises and stretch, to be honest. If I'm in a legal state to use a little cannabis prior to the set, I will. But otherwise, I keep it, no drinking, no stuff like that. I like to be kind of focused and, just stretch and breathe first. And the minute that first note happens, all the nerves go away and you're in the flow of things.
Have you ever looked at earlier career videos of your dad around the time of the age you're at now, where it was obviously early Sepultura days, and think, I can't take that stage move because everyone's going to think I'm copying him?
No, I think because he in in a literal way. He gave me my body, so it would only make sense that certain things function the same way and whatnot, you know. So I think our headbang is similar, and our picking is kind of similar. There's actually a video of us explaining the first single, Truckload, where we're both playing guitar.
Max
tracks. And lots of people were pointing out we just have the same picking pattern, you know, and that's not something you can force or you know, that's something that naturally happens or whatever. So you know, I don't worry. You know, people will always come up to me and be like, "Oh, you look like him," and I'm like, "No way, he's my dad," you know.
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk again and catch up, Igor. It's always a blast. Pardon the pun. So we could get you to choose your favourite track from the up-and-coming album, Go Ahead and Die, self-titled. And let's have a look here. We could play some Healing Magic as well. And maybe just, one of your favourite songs that represent your father, you know, just from his massive catalogue. Something you go, yep, that's my dad.
Definitely. For Go Ahead and Die, let me think for a second. Go Ahead and Die. Let's do the self-titled one. Honestly, Go Ahead and Die from Go Ahead and Die from Go Ahead and Die.
Yep.
You know, just like Black Sabbath.
Exactly.
We'll do that, and then from Healing, if you want to do Medicinal, that's probably my favorite song off of Restoration. Super fun to play live and total jammer. And then from my pops, honestly, one of my favorites. Let's do Propaganda. I love that song.
All right. Well, again, all the best, and let's hope when this whole pandemic starts to ease, we can see some kind of Cavalera family tour coming back to Australia, because you know you guys have been to this country many times, and I'd love to see this band live as well. So I wish you all the best, my friend.
Yeah, likewise. It was a pleasure to talk. Always great catching up with you guys. You and your brother are definitely like family to us, so just stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll all be hanging out down there by next year.
Always. Let's check out some Go Ahead and Die here on andrewhogue.com. Thanks, Igor.
Yep, thanks. Later. That was good.